Hello, we have a full house today. How is everybody doing?
Very good, very excited, very grateful, very nervous.
AJ made it. Hi.
Hello.
Don't be nervous.
But you're
the one grading us.
My horrible relatives, remember? That was part of the goal.
We also have CeCe here with us.
Hi. Hi, AJ.
Hi, CeCe.
Haven't seen you in a while.
I know. It is good to see you. Well, I see you on the TV.
Not today.
Not today, but it was a fun experience. I'm excited for you to undergo.
Thanks.
So, everybody who is here, this is the ending of our first week, beginning of our second week of the WikiTree challenge. We will do a brief little kind of rundown of what the WikiTree challenge is again. And Mindy did a great job last time letting us know what it is about. Do you want to kind of give us a brief overview of the WikiTree challenge, Mindy?
Yes, I can. And what we're doing this year is for each of the weeks, we pick one fabulous guest star, like AJ or CeCe, and we look at their branches, how we have them on WikiTree, how they have them elsewhere on their primary tree, and we try and make the WikiTree branches look as complete and accurate as possible. So people are looking to break through some of those brick walls, find them interesting new information. It's been a blast.
Yes. So we just finished up AJ's week. So we'll start talking about his tree and what has been discovered, what we found, what we didn't find. And then AJ will grade us. Dun, dun, dun. And then we'll move on to kind of introduce CeCe and ask her some questions. And then after this live cast, we'll kind of kick off to her week and start her challenge. So I'm not sure what you have prepared, Mindy, for
I know. I meant to send you a copy of it, but I was out of town for a little bit this morning, so yeah.
Okay.
I was like running under the gun there. I can send you links though when it's right.
I just wanted to open with a quick thank you to everyone who participated. It is amazing. It is. I purposely didn't look too closely because I wanted to be surprised tonight, but I know that there was some amazing work being done, and I'm blown away by the passion and the creativity and the research. So thank you to all my cousins.
Woo.
I think everybody had a pretty good time doing this. It was interesting.
Good.
Yeah. So, okay, let me not share the screen right now. Okay. Well, we're very happy that you let us. You're the first week, AJ, and we have finished up. And I feel like I was kind of watching as stuff was being added. I know Azure added some stuff, and Mindy added some stuff, and a whole bunch of other people added stuff. So, let's talk about maybe Mindy. What did we find? Did we find any mistakes in his tree? Did we find?
We actually found quite a bit. It was exciting. I think a lot of people were nervous at first. I know I was. Like, the stories were great, but then you see that people came from Russia and they're from Poland and Ukraine, and people are like, I don't think I'm really going to be able to help, but I'm here if you need me to. And we actually found that, through collaboration, we got a lot done. I mean, we found a lot more, and I learned something personally. I know a number of the other members said they learned from this experience. We did have, AJ, several exciting things, but we had two particular great-grandparents that we were definitely able to expand on. So if you could guess about brick walls, who would you have guessed out of your great-grandparents?
Well, maybe my dad's side, maybe my father's side, because that seemed like that was pretty, the bricks were pretty high there, but maybe you were able to get through them.
And you know what? I actually had guessed on Max also. I really thought that that was one place we would punch through, and I was, well, pleasantly surprised. Not happy for Max because, but you already had a lot of information on some of the people there. Um, for Max himself, his parents were listed as Isidore Jacobowitz and Rosa Weinstein. And you'll
Right.
have to forgive me ahead of time for hatcheting any names because I'm not good at Polish pronunciation. So I had people telling me in Yiddish, it's this, Mindy. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say.
Well, I'm probably no better, so
Yeah. Let's see.
hold on. Let me try and make this bigger.
Okay, so he had the two whites. He had Celia and Clara, and of course, people looked that over. The records showed Isaac Jacomovitz, which was just one of the multiple variations there is a spelling of that surname, and Rosie when he married Clara. A third child was found to Max and Celia. They had Betty that lived for less than a year.
Oh, wait a second. So they had a third child in addition to my grandfather.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe it. And her name, she had a name, Betty?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is her. If you're looking at the screen, I'm sharing the profile now.
Wow. Do we know what she died of? It's so sad.
No, unfortunately, the record didn't say. It just says that she didn't make it to the first year. So she probably was newborn because they listed her age as 0.
Wow, that's amazing already.
And then for Max's brother, David, you had 6 children on your primary tree. We had 7 children. They tried to find Max's birth, and I think if we would have had more than a week to work on this, honestly, they would have busted through that as well.
Oh my gosh.
So wait,
I'm sorry, there were 7, the
children
brother,
for David, his brother.
7 kids. And do we know the name of that 7th one that was missing?
Here it says Abram, Hyman, Harry, Rachel, Issy, Aaron, and Nathan are all 7.
Wow. Amazing. Look at I have all these relatives I didn't even know about. Look at that.
And for Celia's parents, we found, I'm guessing is a mistake, on your other tree, her father was listed as Arthur Oscar Kaufman, and Awen actually did some work on that. The marriage record lists her father as Harry Kaufman and the mother as Fanny Flegelman.
Wow. Yeah, I never heard those names. Thank you, Awen.
You're welcome, AJ.
And Awen wasn't here last week to receive my thanks for I could not have put on the Global Family Reunion. I mean, I didn't even put it on. I could not have been a part of the Global Family Reunion without Awen. She was amazing.
It was a good time.
It was.
Crazy that it was 6 years ago. Weird.
It was crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Having a pandemic.
Sarah, can you put up Harry's branches of the tree for me? Harry Flood. Is
Harry
it Flood
Flood.
or Flug?
Flug.
Wait, Flug. Where's Flug? Hold on, let me go back. I have to
Go back to the great
backtrack
grandparents.
myself. Hold on, I've been clicking so much. Harry Flug. That's the other line.
You need to go back to AJ's profile.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
There I am.
There. Okay. Harry. Well, I guess it's not Harry. It's, Flug? This one? Joseph?
Yep.
Okay, let's open that one. Oh.
Right, his
nickname
American name was Harry.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
and this was one of the 2 big people that I was talking about. Now, on Harry's branches, they just exploded. We had a wonderful person working on the Polish records, and actually for that, we had several people that were working on those. And
Thank
You had
you.
his parents listed as, now, how do you say that? Is that Zia Flug?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then, yeah, and then Rizel Weissman. Now, his parents on WikiTree have proven to be Zia Flug and Idis Weissman. And here
Interesting.
we actually have great, great, great grandparents that have been discovered. Zia Flug's father, Herz Flug, was born in Zamosk also. He was a tenant at the grain mill that he leased. So he actually was the employer at the grain mill. He left
Really?
behind a widow, Ruchla Flug. His parents were Zia and Mala Flug. Both were deceased when he died. They were all from Zamosk. Her parents haven't been found yet. And then it says Joseph Herz, Carrie Flug's mother was Idis. So her parents were the Gala Washman and Zlota and Rivka Goldstein. Now, all of these are new out here on these branches.
Yeah, I'd never heard these names. That's
Right.
so extraordinary.
And it's really interesting because information about how, the naming customs and stuff were, the people that worked on them tried to work those into the profiles to kind of explain to you. But there's a lot off of his branches there now.
Wow, that is so cool. Well, thank you. Who were the people who were working on that branch? Because I want to thank them.
We had Karen Lowe working on it. We had 2 people that were helping with translations on it. And then she actually reached out to the G2G, which is our forum, of course, and asked for verification or translation on some of it. And it's really great because, you can just tag it with the language, Russian or Poland or whatever, Italy. And the people that are bilingual or multilingual will see those tags go by and they'll look at those posts. And there's always somebody that's willing to jump in and answer questions. So, we had to do that several times because, once again, a lot of us that were initially signed up weren't experienced in those areas.
Right. Well, thank you, Karen. That's extraordinary work. That is awesome. I love it.
She just added a little tip. She says Harry's mother, Ides Weissman, died in his childhood, and Sizia remarried to another Hoods. I can't even say that. Hoods.
So, Karen, is that a person? Or is that?
Come on, Sarah.
Sounds like two. Like that was like it looks like the same way you would pronounce it both. So I'm not sure, but I leave that there.
Well, I'm glad to have a relative named Hootis. That's amazing, Karen. Well, thank you for that, and I didn't know any of this.
And then, can we let Cheryl go over the maternal side? This one's going to take a few minutes more, but you have another explosion on your maternal side.
Oh,
wow! Sounds dangerous.
It's a good kind. Lots of branches. They just came from everywhere.
We're going to go with Samuel Keel.
Samuel Keel.
Yes, my mother's father's father. Gotcha.
Okay, we didn't find any new ancestors for him, but we did find a description in his draft card.
Wow.
He was this is kind of interesting.
So he was oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. He was of medium height, medium build, brown eyes, and brown hair. He lost 2 toes, and he broke one. His thumb on his left hand was in bad condition. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what happened to those 2 toes? Where'd they go?
I don't know.
So was he drafted, or this was a potential draft, or do we not know? Oh, this is for World War II.
A potential draft card.
That is amazing. Well, without the toes, maybe they didn't want them.
Yeah, you're kind of off balance sometimes without toes. So maybe.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Where did you find that? How did you do that research?
That was just when you are researching, you just find if you find a draft card, sometimes it has that information on it for you.
Like here, 2 toes gone.
Wow, look at that.
Wonderful.
And the draft card was that on I forget, there's a military site that
Oh,
does.
Fold 3, you can find it on there, but you can also find it on Family Search or Ancestry.
I think it even said that it was on his left leg if you look at it.
Wow, interesting.
And the biography for this looks very well done too. We have like a little newspaper clipping here. Some
Look at that.
photos.
Oh,
Very
that's great.
well done.
I love those pictures.
Yeah. Very cute.
Amazing. Well, thank you.
And then we're gonna go to, is it Giddle or Kate?
Yeah, yeah.
Sunstein?
Wait, who are we doing?
Kate?
Kate.
That
Giddle.
was
Kate.
my grandfather's mother.
It's Samuel's wife.
Oh, okay. Got it. Kate, there we go. Wasn't saying that on the.
Yeah. What did you learn about her?
Okay, we're gonna go to Kate's brother David.
Oh,
David.
yeah, I don't know much about him.
Okay, well, we're going to tell you a little bit about him now. Kate's brother David and his brother Morris immigrated before the rest of the family. David immigrated in 1892. His brother apparently 2 years before that. They worked manufacturing waist and then shirt waist and then dresses.
Oh, interesting.
We didn't see anything on her brother on the primary tree. David's mother is listed as Anna Threckman, not Anna Sapphire.
Huh.
So they may have had different mothers. We're not certain about that.
Wow. That's amazing. And that, so this is my, let me just make sure I got it. It is my great-grandmother's brother. Right, great-grandmother's brother.
Yes.
Amazing. So that, yeah, I knew nothing about this. And wait, so did they come to New York City, or where did they emigrate to?
I think they came to New York City.
And
New York City.
And they were in the schmata businesses, the schmata trade, as they say. That's amazing.
Yes, New York City.
Right.
And usually when you see the staggered migration like that, you know, that means that the first person, so in this case, Morris, came to the United States, earned some money, made enough money to get David over. Then David and Morris work like crazy and earn enough money to get the rest of the family over.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's some family dedication.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm grateful. And it's also interesting because, you know, there was the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire was hopefully they were not involved in that, but it was a big influence on my grandfather, who became a labor lawyer and worked for the rights of workers. And I remember that he was influenced by the Shirtwaist Factory fire.
That's pretty cool.
Do we have any other discoveries?
Yes, we do. We're going to Elias Sunstein. Is that how you say it?
Yep, exactly.
And I thought he was very interesting.
Sunstein.
He was my mother's father.
Dad. Yeah.
Right.
And I love the backgrounds that are on these pages too.
Yeah. So he was the son of they called him Laz. I remember that.
I think he had a couple nicknames, didn't he? Eli, Laz.
And Elias. Oh, interesting.
Right, because he was the one that was just named as male Sunstein on his birth record. So nobody knew what his first name really was.
Male Sunstein. It's catchy. That is interesting. I have a first cousin named Eliyahu, and I don't think he knows that his That would be his great-grandfather was also called Eliyahu.
Oh, really?
He's going to love that. Okay.
Well, some stuff that I'm not supposed to read, but I'm going to read it because I think it's interesting, is he attended prep schools and then Princeton, and he studied daily with Woodrow Wilson.
Wow.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And he came from Lithuania and Russia. In 1950, Elias and Gertrude went to, what's that? Mindy?
Trujillo City.
Thank you. And we're wondering if that might be Puerto Rico.
Trujillo City, that's interesting. Well, could it be the Dominican Republic? Because Trujillo was the dictator in the Dominican. Maybe.
Okay.
It could be.
Okay. With his brother Leon and sister-in-law Selma. And AJ, we're wondering if you'd heard any stories about that.
No, but that's fascinating. So this was a trip that they went on, like a vacation trip, or was it a business trip, or we don't know?
We're not real sure. We're wondering if you had any information about that. And I'm looking on the sideline because you have some relatives that are watching this to see if they have any information.
Oh, yeah.
That's Peru, by the way. Trujillo is Peru.
Oh, it's in Peru. Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, that is amazing. No, I know. I mean, I know a coincidence that my sister worked in human rights in Peru, and her husband is from Peru, so there's that connection. But I think that's pretty coincidental.
Okay.
But it's also surprising to me that that they traveled that far back. Oh, I guess it was 1950. You said 1950.
Yes, 1950.
Still far for then, but I do remember hearing that. Let's see, it was my great-grandmother had trouble having kids, and that she went to Germany to some natural spring bath in Germany. But that was, I believe, Kate on the other side, my grandfather's mother. So I'm sorry, I wish I knew more, but I'm going to ask my family and see if anyone knows about the Trujillo trip.
Lisa Grayson, your cousin, was saying that she thinks that Eliyahu, however it's pronounced, his birth name was Elias, and Eliyahu is his, well, it went away.
Oh, sorry. Was Laz's Hebrew name.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yeah, Lisa is a lot of the research that you got was from Lisa. She's an awesome genealogist and my third cousin on the Fink line.
Fantastic.
And then I was just highlighting that somebody, if you wanted to tell us who you are, said Trujillo City is actually Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic.
Okay, so it must have changed. Okay, the first hit I got was Peru, but there's obviously more than one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's probably a few, definitely. If we don't, I don't know if there was any other highlights for AJ's tree, because I kind of wanted to start maybe transitioning over to talking about CeCe, since we're at the halfway mark. I don't know if you had anything else interesting, Cheryl, you wanted to share, Mindy, before we...
I just have Gertrude Kingsbacher.
Yeah, Kingsbacher is what I've always heard.
Okay, we just have her to cover and we'll be done.
Okay. Kingsbacher. Okay.
She was actually the other big person that ancestors were added to. I told you there were two. Gertrude was the other, and we had Norbert that had not planned on necessarily joining in with the challenge, but when we reached out to different people that were bilingual, he came in and just did some amazing work.
Awesome. Thank you, Norbert.
Okay. AJ and Thomas Stix, STIX, an American physicist who wrote the first mathematical treatment in plasma physics, are first cousins twice removed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Fun.
She is also related to the notable Charles Aaron Sticks, founder of St. Louis department store Sticks, Bear, and Fuller.
So cool. I love that.
I'm sorry. The surname was changed from Kingsbacher, the Americanized version of the surname, to Konensbacher. Gerson Friedrich, I'm going to mess these names up, son of Isaac Friedheit, fought in the United States Civil War. He served in the Missouri Militia 25th Regiment. And then there's a note posted to the research notes. The information was fun and informational.
Look at that. And that's the Union? Was that the Union side? I'm hoping.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is that's amazing.
Fun?
I love being a Civil War descendant.
Yeah.
There you go.
One of our German experts found a wealth of records for Gertrude's ancestor. If you look at Esther Lowenthal Konenbacher, can we find her? There's Esther.
Yeah.
Her profile explains the name change from Esther Mauer to Esther Lowenthal. Her husband, Abraham, was listed as an assessor and merchant in Thalheim, Germany. Abraham's father, Solomon, was on your primary tree. But on WikiTree, he shows the change from Konensbach to Konensbacher.
Interesting.
Solomon was a prayer leader and Hebrew school teacher in Thalheim near, oh boy, I'll slaughter these, Holmbrunn, a little town in Württemberg, Germany. He originally had his father's first name, Aaron, as a surname. In 1828, he chose the name Konenbacher. As you know, they had 6 children. They also had 24 grandchildren, 14 of which immigrated to the United States.
16, that is amazing.
16. Solomon's wife, Prince Merchant Hallenbacher, originally had Moses as a last name until her husband chose Konenbacher in 1828. You had all of Aaron Bacher's grandparents, but not all of Esther's.
Amazing. What great work. Thank you.
And we got one more. Esther's parents are Mayer Lowenthal and Vogel Moses Lowenthal. You had Mayer in your primary tree, but WikiTree reflects how some of the records are documented as Low instead of Lowenthal.
Wow.
You had 4 children on the primary tree, but there were 8 found in the town records. Mayer had no parents on the other tree, but Norbert found that Moses Levi from Merchingen and Regina Lesser from Horkham were his parents.
Oh my God. So how far back? That's like my 4th great grandparents?
It's way back there.
It's way back there, yes.
Farther. Wow.
Mayer's parents are the same as Fritz Mergengen's parents, as those siblings married into a different branch of your tree.
Wow. Oh wait, they married into a different branch.
Yes.
What is that called when the trees?
Consanguinity, when you have a couple more than one place in your tree.
Right. Ancestor collapse. Isn't that another phrase? Or pedigree collapse?
Pedigree, that's what I was looking at. Pedigree collapse.
Pedigree
collapse. Collapse in my tree. Yeah.
Some of us have trees that go like this.
For Vogel's parents, you had Wheel and Erola Moses. On WikiTree, their names reflect the records Moses Lowe and Zero Simon.
Wow. Yeah, this is all new to me. All new.
Their names appeared in the Talon records. Like many of your profiles, we have left breadcrumbs for future research. Moses Lowe was the son of Lowe and Unknown and Rachel Unknown Moses, and Zero was married on the 1st of January, 1777.
This is so far back. I'm really impressed.
Zerl's parents, going back, were Simon Khan and Kella, unknown, as mentioned in Talon records. Stepping way back to Sophia Friedenheit's parents, Gerson and Fanny, we had some more additions. You had no parents for Gershon and only a mother named Babette Winkeline Meyer. On WikiTree, Gerson's parents are listed as Isaac Friedenheit and Franny Fradella. Isaac was born in Bavaria. Fanny was also born in Bavaria. When Isaac died, Fanny joined their son Gerson in the United States. She lived to the age of 88. And one more, Fanny's parents were Julius Winkleline and Babette Bloch Mayer. They were born in Germany and married in the United States, then living in Pennsylvania.
Amazing.
Family sources say that Fanny, the first daughter, was born in Pittsburgh, but records indicate that both Fanny and Sarah were born in Philadelphia. After Sarah was born, they moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, where 2 more children were born. Julius died in 1849, and his widow Babette married to an Abram Meyer, while Julius had been about 49 when he died. Babette lived to the age of 90.
Wow, look at that. And in Cincinnati, did you say, or was it?
Yes, Cincinnati, Ohio.
I didn't even know we had relatives there, or ancestors there. Interesting.
All right, I lost track of who we were talking about in the trees, so I just went back to
that. That's okay, and that wraps it up for the
for us.
That was really awesome.
Ancestors. The family got bigger. Well, thank you. That was amazing. I don't want to take up CeCe's time, but that was so fun and fascinating, and you guys did an extraordinary job. So A+. That's my grade.
Yay! We got an A+ from AJ.
Absolutely. So cool. So cool. Yeah. And let me know. I want to, I'll send an email thanking people in more detail later. But I can't wait to tell the rest of my family about all their new ancestors.
Ooh. Show them all your trees on WikiTree.
Yeah. We will convert them all to WikiTree.
So I guess we will now transition over to CeCe. CeCe, are you there? She is.
I am here.
Sarah.
So
Sarah.
Yes.
Just before you do that, I just wanted to do some introductions really quick because I don't know that CeCe knows who everybody is.
Oh, okay.
So Sarah, Julie, and I all work for WikiTree. We're all on the part-time staff. Mindy is actually the challenge coordinator for the year. She's the one overseeing basically the whole challenge. And then Azure is actually the team captain for your week. She'll be leading the collaborations and all of that for your so. And then Cheryl's Mindy's assistant coordinator.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi, CeCe.
Thanks in advance. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate.
So I haven't worked on my own tree in a very long time, like years. So I'm sure I have a lot of mistakes and things that could be cleaned up. A lot of it was done like 20 years ago. And up until about a decade ago, before I really started working heavily on other people's trees and other cases. So I'm sure there's things that you guys can fix. I do have some branches that you won't be able to extend because they were from out of wedlock births. and the records don't name the dad, so only DNA will solve those. And my son gets really mad at me that I'm, extending everyone else's trees and not my own.
So some of us are familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I imagine so. Yeah, so you'll run into some brick walls that I don't think you'll be able to help me with, because it's going to take some DNA work, and they're not in the U.S., or I would have done it by now. Finland and Norway.
No.
Well, CeCe, do you want to give us a brief introduction about yourself for people who maybe aren't familiar with you, to kind of...
Sure. I'm the founder of the DNA Detectives. We have a Facebook group that's over 150,000 people now who are using DNA to learn more about their family history. A lot of them were of unknown parentage, adoptees, donor conceived, unknown paternities, or people who took a DNA test and found out that half of their family tree was not genetic and had to start over on that. We've helped tens of thousands of people resolve these mysteries. And I started blogging over 10 years ago now about genetic genealogy. And that was kind of the start of a lot of what I've ended up doing. I've been the genetic genealogist on Finding Your Roots on PBS since 2013. Which a lot of people think I'm just a consultant, but it's actually it's been a full-time job all these years. I was the only genetic genealogist until very recently, and so I did all of the DNA research and all of the script writing for the DNA portions.
Wow.
Now, finally, I have Kimberly Morgan, who has been hired as a genealogist, but she's really great at working on the DNA with me, so it's the first time I have help on that. 2.5 years ago, I started working with law enforcement. We have 150 successful identifications now for criminal cases. Most of those cases are violent criminal, but quite a few of them are also unidentified deceased individuals, Does, Jane and John Does. I love working on those. So I spend my day building trees all day long, every day, but just not my own.
Well, thanks for that. So what got you interested in genealogy to start?
I think there's a couple things. When I was about 5 or 6, a distant cousin wrote a book about one branch of my family. And I was so fascinated with that book, I would not put it down. And my name was in the book, which was really exciting, as a little kid like that. And my siblings and my parents. And then we loaned it to a cousin, and I never saw it again. So it was always like in the back of my mind of this sort of mystery, this book I was so fascinated by that disappeared. So I think that really planted the seed, but I was so busy just, trying to make a living, survive, etc. with my life until I was about 30. And then my niece was getting married, my oldest niece, because my sisters are quite a bit older than I am, and they both got married really young. So my niece was getting married, and I thought, a family tree would be a really fun gift for her wedding. So I went online and started researching, and that was sort of that, I didn't realize. I tend to be a little obsessive compulsive, and that became my newest obsession. And of course, she never got that family tree because it's a never-ending project, as you know. And then I've always loved genetics. So pretty soon after, I started reading. So this was about 20 years ago. And then I started reading that Family Tree DNA had introduced these DNA tests for genealogy purposes, which really captured my imagination and my interest. But at the time, I was a struggling actress. I was working a lot, but I didn't have a lot of money that I just wanted to kind of, wouldn't have been throwing it away, but I didn't, at the time the tests were really expensive. like $350. And I never knew where my next job was coming from. That's the life of an actor, entertainer. And so I didn't have that kind of disposable income. So I just read a lot. And then I got involved a few years later and finally started testing. So that's the long story of how I got started.
I always like hearing people's stories and how they got interested in genealogy. So, and if anybody has questions for CeCe in the chat, if you want to go ahead and trickle them in, we can ask them in between the questions that I have.
It might also be that I grew up with my grandmother living in our house, and she lived to be 96. So I heard about her sisters who both died young, and her parents, and my grandfather's parents, you know, just as a regular occurrence. Her sister died when she was 19, and that had always haunted her. She talked about her all the time, practically every day. And I was also one of the only ones who stayed in contact with my other grandmother, my paternal grandmother, and we wrote letters all the time. So I've always been more interested in extended family, I think, and family stories.
Okay. So do you have a favorite ancestor that when you were researching that you found that happened to be your favorite, or maybe a couple favorites?
I do. So Jenny Cole is my favorite ancestor. She had 3 husbands die sort of unexplainably, like maybe killed all 3. I'm not sure. The first one died because he drank bad water. The second one was my ancestor, and he died because she actually accidentally gave him horse liniment when she meant to give him cold medicine. Supposing they were next to each other on the next to each other on the shelf. And then the last one disappeared after he beat her son and broke her son's arm. And I can't find him anywhere. So if anyone can find him, William Phelps, he's on there, if you can see him. I've originally just always thought that they separated and he went and lived his life elsewhere, but I've never been able to find him after he separates from her. So I suspect something might have happened to him as well.
So there is a task for anybody who wants to take that on, finding out what happened.
Love to know. The name's real common, so it makes it difficult. I thought I found him a couple times, but it always turned out to be the wrong William Phelps.
Yeah.
So she also must have loved to have her photograph taken. So I have a lot more photographs of her than my other ancestors, and you can really see her progression. She was a beautiful woman, but she lived such a stressful life. You can see the toll that it took on her over, many, many years and generations.
Would you be willing to either upload some photos onto WikiTree or give them over to either?
Oops, sorry, that was me.
Are you able to download them from Ancestry by chance?
I guess if we have your permission, we could do that. Enough either.
Yeah, I scanned them myself. Before I got really into DNA, my thing was antique family photos. And my family branch didn't inherit very many of them. And so I contacted many, many cousins over the years asking if they had any. And I was given a lot of photographs, a lot of originals, and I spent many, many weeks and months scanning those and uploading them to Ancestry and also to my old blog, not my DNA blog, but I have a blog called My Tangled Vine, which is why my tree is called that. And you could get those because I don't have them on. They're on some backup hard drive somewhere. I don't have them on my current computer, so I don't have any easy way to just send them to you guys. But you can get them from my blog too.
Okay, so anybody can we have permission if you want to upload. You guys want to upload some photos of her ancestors? You can go ahead and do that to add some.
Let me add one thing. So when her daughter died, Gladys, who had no children, she donated boxes and boxes and boxes of Jenny's photographs to Goodwill, which kills me. Absolutely kills me. So I just want to always put that out there. You know, she was a beautiful woman. Maybe some of them survived. Anyone ever that comes across a picture that looks like Jenny Cole, let me know.
So, when did you discover WikiTree? How did you discover WikiTree?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say, but I think way at the beginning. When was it started?
I see here you joined in 2014, but I think WikiTree started in 2010.
I think Chris Whitten reached, is that how you say his name?
Whitten, yeah. Uh-huh.
I think he reached out to me. We might have even met at an early Roots Tech, or I think I probably talked to him before I joined, or a while before I joined.
Okay. So you talked to the WikiTreeer in chief and got on WikiTree. What did you have? I guess you have you used it recently in a while, or?
No, you know, I just have so little time. I went on and I at one point tried to start adding things and I just got distracted from it. But I use WikiTree in my research a lot. You know, on GEDmatch, quite a few people have links to WikiTree.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use those all the time. If they give those, then I definitely make use of them.
That's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I Google, of course, you know, and find them other times when there isn't a link. So next to Ancestry's public trees, I would say I use WikiTree the most.
Cool.
For that, you know, type of information.
That's great.
Well, hopefully we can add on to some of your. Which ones were the ones you were saying that were DNA? I guess because they didn't have a father listed on the birth certificate. What were those brick walls, or what are some maybe brick walls that we can bust through?
Yeah, it's not just a birth certificate. It's actually in the Old Finnish church records. I've, you know, heavily researched that. Matilda Huttala's father is unknown. Her mother had 3 children over 20 years. None of the fathers are known. One of them, I think, had somebody listed, but it wasn't ever confirmed. But hers did not. And she left Finland and came to the U.S. and cut off contact with all of her family there. So it was actually really hard to even figure out who her parents' families were. Her husband, Rainey, changed his last name. It was Wita, but it took me a long time to figure that out. And there are people who have done a lot of research on my Finnish lines that I don't think has ever been added to a public tree. It might be somewhere on a Scandinavian or Finnish site, but I don't think it's an Ancestry. I've never had time to add it.
Well, we do have some Finnish, Scandinavian experts on WikiTree, so maybe they can. Cool. I think Chris was talking about Juha.
He's already working on it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right.
He's out there right now.
Working on the tree.
On my dad's
already out there working.
On my dad's Norwegian branch, Herstad, I've got 2 out of wedlock births or illegitimacies in a row. And one of them does list a father in the church records, but it's a pretty common name. Mm-hmm. So I haven't totally confirmed which it is. And I'm sure I could with DNA if I took time. But initially, when I was working my own genetic genealogy, there just weren't enough Norwegian matches.
Okay. What do you want to take away from participating in the challenge? Maybe a goal? Not a goal, but.
I guess I felt guilty that my tree is not full and correct on WikiTree because I feel like I should have done that, and I just haven't been able to. So that's my goal, is that it'll finally be filled out, and I won't have to feel bad about the fact that my ancestors are not well represented on there.
Well, I know our WikiTreeers some of them are probably already working on filling in your tree. I know everybody's really excited, and we really appreciate you coming on. Do you have any questions for us, CeCe? Or
is there anything I need to do? You've got my public ancestry tree and my blog.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to check in throughout the week, or just wait until you guys are done?
So Azure is your captain for the week. I don't know, Azure, if you had any questions, or if Azure had any questions to reach out to you, or you can touch base. Did you have anything to add, Azure?
No, not really. She actually answered a question I had been meaning to bring up about Maddie. And Juha is already going to be working on correcting it so that it shows his correct last name at birth. So we should see that happening soon.
So when he was older, he lived on the Rainey farm. And as you know, I'm sure, farm names were used. But
yeah.
It appears to me he purposely took that name as a primary name because he had a wife in Finland, a wife and a child that he deserted. So he told them he's going to go work. Yeah, he said, I'm going to go find work in Sweden and I'll be back. And instead he came to the U.S. and married my great-grandmother, who may have known him back there. They both came from towns pretty close together.
Yeah.
And he deserted that family, unfortunately. And also his father, quote unquote, escaped to the U.S., my great-great-grandfather, Matty Wita, because he thought he killed a man at a wedding, and he was afraid he was going to get sent to Siberia, so he escaped to Massachusetts. But then he found out from people who were coming from Finland that the guy didn't die, so he went back. So they had this history of kind of coming to the U.S., hiding out, using this name Rainey instead of Vita.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the long story of it. But when he was in the U.S., he primarily used Rainey, and that really threw us off at first. I had a lot of Finnish people who, with the last name Rainey, I thought I was related to, but it turned out that was not a genetic surname at all.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Azure, will you check in during the week with CeCe?
Yeah, I can send you a private message and let you know if there's any questions that come up.
Will you share the email address with her that I sent to you? Because I get hundreds of PMs on Facebook,
absolutely.
and I miss a lot, and I don't always check. I just have too much coming in. So if you can write to my email address that I provided, that's a better way of getting a hold of me than some of the other ways.
Will do.
Okay. I didn't see any questions in the chat for CeCe. Did anybody? Doesn't seem. It seems like people are excited to start working. They're calling dibs on some ancestors.
Oh, really?
They're ready to go.
Oh yeah, they've been ready since this morning. Or before.
So one thing that's kind of fun about my tree, and maybe unique a little bit, is that about half of it are immigrants.
For CeCe.
About half of them are immigrant ancestors at my great-grandparent level, and about half have really deep roots in the U.S. and into Canada. And my great-grandfather, Alan, was from Australia, but they were only there one generation, and they come from England before that. So that makes my tree a little bit unique, and it's interesting because both sides are exactly the same. Both my parents have deep colonial roots, and they both have recent immigrant ancestors as well.
And there was a question that just popped in saying, do you know why he chose Rainey for a surname?
Because it was the farm name that the family lived on, but it was much later. So it wouldn't typically be one that he would have adopted, because the family moved there when I think he was like in his 20s or maybe late teens.
Okay.
That's all I can figure. There's some confusion in there. There's a lot of Maddie Raineys and Maddie Vitas, and there's some marriages that happen. I can't remember all the details, but I think there's another Maddie Rainey that marries into the family, but it's not him. I spent a lot of time trying to sort it out because my grandmother talked about her dad's half brother, but he wasn't his half brother, and I ended up finding it was his step brother, and it was through this other Rainey marriage, and so that part of the tree took a lot of untangling. So I know that it's correct in the recent, pretty recent generation. But if you get into the weeds and get into all those marriages, second, third marriages and things, it can get pretty complicated.
Okay. And then we had another question that says, did you ever find the book?
Yes, it's on. Well, I started finding research partners over the years, as we all do, I think, as genealogists. And my third cousin's wife is a genealogist, and she had a copy of the book on PDF. So she shared it with me over email, and then now I believe it's actually online somewhere, and it has amazing photos from my Travis family line. Some of them have the wrong identifications on them, so you have to be careful. Make sure people are really who it says they are. But I've never had the actual book again, like the hard copy of it. But I've definitely read it. What was that?
What was the name of it?
What is the name? It just went out of my head. I've known it all of my life.
I'm sure somebody in the chat will say it too.
Yeah. It's I can't. It's on Asa Travis.
Okay.
And it's by Julia. It's by Julia Travis. I can't believe I cannot think of what it is. Julia Travis. It's not in print, I don't think.
Maybe there's something on archive.org or something.
Yeah, there definitely is something out there because we've since shared it with other people.
Okay.
Apparently someone said it's on Family Search. Kay says all in the family.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I cannot believe I forgot it. I'm fuzzy-headed today. That's it. Yeah, it has some mistakes in it, but for when it was written, it's pretty amazing research.
Awesome.
Very cool. I'm sure that a whole bunch of people will go looking at that book now.
Okay, then I better say my birth date is wrong, and my dad was not an airline pilot. So although it was really cool to be in it, there, right away I was confronted with genealogy mistakes, but I didn't really care that much at 6. I was just happy to be in there. Oh yeah, there's the quote. Thank you. At the end of 1975. So yeah, I was 6, almost 7. And it's Julia Travis. Yeah, and I greatly appreciate all of the effort she put into that book because she went to this huge Travis family. My great-grandmother had, I think it's 11 siblings or 12. She went and collected family photos from everybody in person. Awesome. Yeah, and we would not have those if it wasn't for her.
That's awesome.
I wish they did that on every branch of my family tree.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
Okay, well, I don't know if anybody here has any questions for CeCe or everybody has any questions about the challenge or anything else. If not, we'll probably wrap it up. I don't know if AJ's still listening or he kind of... Oh, there he is!
I'm here.
What happened?
Here,
There he is.
So thank you, AJ, for being our first week, and thank you, CeCe, for our second week. It's been really exciting this first week so far, and we're looking forward to continue.
We should be the ones
feel
thanking
better,
you,
CeCe.
right? Having someone else work on our trees is the most amazing thing ever.
Exactly. I agree.
And I know that everybody is really excited to work on your trees. So, and then Patricia, and the challenge, if you want to go to wikitree.com, the overview of the challenge is on WikiTree. If you want to rewatch this live cast from the beginning, we kind of talk about what the challenge is in the beginning.
I should mention one more thing, and that is my son absolutely loves doing the royal genealogies. And I'm not sure if he tacked it onto this tree you guys have access to or my private tree. But if you run into that, that's my son's work. He has spent many, many, many hours, because we have some Boston founders in our tree that connect or supposedly connect to royalty. So it's connected to that branch of my tree back there. So if you run into that, that's his work, not mine.
Cool. So look for royalty.
Yeah. Way
back. Okay, well, we will head off. Thank you, everybody. I love that everybody participating. We had a whole bunch of viewers, too. Thank you all for watching. We will see you Saturday for a quick recap and little of the challenge and of the week, and then next Wednesday. So see you then, guys.